Hey, welcome to the video. My name is Daniel with 1 Month No Carbs. And today I'm doing it again. I'm breaking the myth of the good carbohydrate. I'll show you how it's a myth, how it's a lie, how even governments know it, but they don't want to do anything about it. They are doing something, but at a very slow pace. They want probably make sure that no one remembers that they suggested that we eat a cup and a half of sugar. And by doing it slowly, it'll go unnoticed, but they're doing it right now. They're changing the recommendation on sugar and on carbs because carbs are sugar, and it's in plain sight, and they're doing it, and I'm going to show you why and how they're doing it. So here is my thought on this. Again, it's my own opinion, but if something is good for you and something is optimum for you, they should have a level. And if anything, that level should increase. It should not decrease. If something is good for you, there's no reason to decrease that number by 1%. If they say that you should eat 300 grams of carbs per day to be optimal, that should be the number. That number should not come down because somehow someone figure out 300 grams of carbs for a 2,000 calorie person is the ideal number, and that if anything, maybe adding more would be even more beneficial. But as you'll see in a second, as I go through this little experiment, that's not what's happening. The World Health Organization has lowered the sugar intake recommendation, and they don't have a carb recommendation because they know that carbs are sugar. So they don't need to make the distinction. They assume everybody else knows the same thing, that carbs are simple sugar, starches, and fiber. There's nothing else in a carb except for that. Now, there's some good food with carbs, and there's some bad food with carbs, but carbs is not a food group. Carbs is it's sugar molecules inside the foods. So let's get on with this experiment and why I say that um, it's a sham, it's a lie, and it's meant to deceive you. So this is the old nutrition label on a bag of sugar. So white sugar, there's no value, nutritional value to sugar. If we look at the nutritional value here, it's got vitamin B2. There's a bit of copper, magnesium. There's very little in sugar. So there's nothing good about sugar. But if you look at the food label, sugar is I put 300 grams because that's the recommendation of daily value on a nutrition fact for carbohydrates. So 1 cup of sugar is 200 grams. 300 grams is about a cup and a half, give or take. So they recommend that we eat about a cup and a half of sugar in terms of carbs. And that was before the new label. So 300 grams is the optimum level. But if we look at the new label, 300 grams still. But now, as we can see, it's 109% of the daily value. And then we see here the new values. They got total sugars, total added sugars. And then they say added sugars is 599%. So they're saying that, I think if I would go to 50 grams, yeah, 50 grams is the 100% of what should be allowed or recommended. 50 grams, that's 12 teaspoons of sugar. But in terms of carbs, it's only 18%. So I'll go back to the 300. So 300 is now somehow 10% or 9% more than it was. So they recommend that you cut your carb intake by 9% all of a sudden. How come they say that something that is good for you needs to be cut down by 9%? The World Health Organization say you should cut it down by 90%. And the American labels say we should cut it down by 10%. Now that's this year. The new one, they'll come out, they'll probably take another 10% off, 10% off, all the way to 9%, which is what people should be eating. We should not be eating a cup and a half of sugar. I don't care in what form, whether it's in bananas, in apple juice, fruit juice, um, cereal, bread. We should not be eating a cup and a half of sugar. Now, that's why the low carb diets are working so well. People are detoxing from sugar completely, removing all sugars, and they eat whatever carbs they can from natural foods, and they lose the weight and keep it off. Go figure. That's what our great grandparents and our grandparents did. That's why there was no heavy people back then, because they were not stuffing their faces with 300 grams of carbs every day. They were eating probably 50 to 100, maybe 150, and not every day. Most days were simple meals, no snacking. So I'd love to see what a menu back then, or typical diet, would be in total carbs, and that, I guess, should be the standard, what they ate in the 40s and 50s and 30s before all this nonsense started, and use that carb number as the limit. Personally, I've set a limit of 50 grams of carbs per day on a regular day. This month is World Carnivore Month, and I'm going to 0. But after that, 50 is my number, and if I put that over a week, that's 350 grams of carbs for the week. So what they recommend here for a day, I basically consume over a week, and I'll maintain my weight. So if you want to maintain your weight, you should be under 50 daily. If you need to lose weight, you should be under 10 or 20 each day until you lose all the weight. And when you do that, you lose the addiction to food, you lose the addiction to sugar, you lose the hunger all day long. Because when you stop eating carbs, the ghrelin levels go up and you're full. You know when you're full and you're not hungry all the time. So again, the lie is right here. It's right in front of you. I didn't make this up. It's right there. They say cut down the good thing by 10%. Why cut it down by 10% if it's such a good thing? And if you're going to cut it because you need to cut it by 10%, why not go all the way to 90% and heal your body? Anyway, thanks for watching. If you have a comment, leave it in the description below. If you've not subscribed to my channel yet, please do so. Click the bell icon to be notified when I have new content. Thanks for watching. Bye.